Dangerous traps designed to make you poor. Nobel Prize-winning economists Abhijit and Esther are among the world's leading experts on poverty. To understand why people fall into poverty and how to escape it, they spent 15 years researching impoverished communities across 18 countries and regions. Their findings revealed that poverty often stems from a series of traps. What's even more cruel is that these traps are seemingly pre-designed to keep people stuck in poverty. Trap number 1, the trash can trap. Do you think poor people live frugally to get through hard times? In reality, they often spend more recklessly than the average person. Abhijit tells the story of Park, a farmer in Indonesia. Park was weak and unable to work, so he lived in chronic poverty. But when Abhijit visited his home, he was surprised to see many luxury items. A TV, DVD player, mobile phone, tea, coffee, and sugar. Items completely at odds with Park's impoverished lifestyle. In the slums, many people are like Park. They're willing to risk eviction by not paying rent just to buy a 62-inch TV. They'll eat instant noodles for 29 days straight just to splurge on one lobster feast. They might buy anti-wrinkle cream, but freeze through the winter because they can't afford heating. No matter how much you advise them, poor people often can't resist spending when they have a bit of money. They lack the ability to delay gratification and thus fall into consumer traps designed by manufacturers. Recently, shopping malls have made huge profits during holidays, and flower shops are constantly busy. But right after the celebrations, trash bins overflow with discarded gifts, fresh flowers, stuffed animals, lipstick, perfume. These trash can traps are everywhere in life. Have you noticed that nearly every holiday has been turned by businesses into a shopping spree opportunity? Just a few short videos, and you've accidentally placed a few orders. You think you're saving money on Singles' Day, yet you end up adding things to your cart that were never on your list. Manufacturers are excellent at doing three things: creating demand out of thin air, dividing social status through consumer goods, accelerating your spending behavior. From that first autumn milk tea, to a self-care vacation you can't really afford, to a once-in-a-lifetime lavish wedding, their goal is to empty your wallet. When you consume mindlessly without realizing it, that's when the path to poverty begins. Trap number 2, the pleasure trap. In the 1990s, as productivity soared and competition intensified, income inequality and social division in the U.S. became major issues. To keep the poor from rebelling, U.S. National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski proposed the tainment theory, the idea of pacifying the poor through endless entertainment. He suggested that 80% of the socially marginalized population could be given a kind of nipple, symbolic of pacifiers, offered through instant gratification entertainment like pornography, video games, or popular TV shows and reality programs. By keeping the poor constantly entertained, they would become addicted and trapped, unable to escape, and remain at the bottom of society. Have you ever felt this yourself? You're studying in the library, but soon you feel an itch and can't help pulling out your phone to play a game. Or you've just started working, but then you're drawn into a series of short videos, and suddenly you've wasted an entire hour online. Without realizing it, you've lost focus and precious time. In today's world, time and focus are the most valuable resources. While we are glued to our screens, the wealthy are quietly detaching themselves from the online world. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to follow the channel for more truths about money and insights to help you achieve financial freedom quickly. The path to prosperity welcomes you. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, strictly limited his children's use of tech devices at home. Game designers themselves avoid playing games like World of Warcraft. Many Silicon Valley executives steer clear of electronics after work. Psychologist Adam Alter once bluntly stated, "Creators of high-tech products follow the number one rule of drug dealers: they never get hooked on their own product." Because those at the top understand better than anyone that the end result of indulging in short-term pleasure is always the same: entertained to death. Trap number 3, the rat race trap. In a small town in California, a young man passionate about writing was determined to become a famous novelist. Every day, he seized every moment to write. Yet, book sales remained dismal. He went to a church to ask the priest, "Why am I writing day and night, but seeing no progress in my work?" The priest didn't answer directly, but asked, "What do you do in the morning?" The young man replied, "I write novels." The priest continued, "And at noon? Also writing novels. What about in the afternoon?" At this point, the young man grew impatient. "I spend the entire day, except for meals and sleep, writing novels." The priest said, "Then when do you make time to think?" This young man was like a mouse in a wheel, running frantically toward a piece of cheese dangling above, yet only going in circles without ever reaching it. Hardworking, diligent, but with no results. Day after day, this repetitive busyness becomes an endless rat race that traps people in poverty. The busier you are, the poorer you get, and the poorer you are, the busier you become. There's a bitter saying, if being busy alone were useful, the richest creature in the world would be a donkey tied to a mill. The value of your work isn't in how busy you are, but in the depth of your thinking. Li Shanglong, a former teacher at New Oriental, once requested not to teach on weekends or evenings, even though that meant losing 4,000 to 5,000 yuan in income each month. While his colleagues scrambled for extra classes, he stayed home reading, watching films, reflecting, and writing. When the education industry declined, many colleagues either lost their jobs or had to switch careers. But Li had already prepared and found a new path. He started a company and wrote books, earning millions annually. Li was busy, but not with meaningless activity. He concluded, "No matter how busy you are, make time to think. Is there a better path? A new direction? If you keep your head down in endless toil and never look up at the sky, you're likely to fall into the pit of poverty. A person too busy with trivial matters and too lazy to think will inevitably remain mediocre. Learning new knowledge, enhancing your skills, planning a long-term career, and avoiding low-quality effort. These are the keys to breaking the cycle of struggle." Trap number 4, The Shawshank Trap. Recently, I rewatched the classic film The Shawshank Redemption and was deeply moved by the fate of the character Brooks. The movie isn't just a touching story of hope and perseverance. It also reveals a profound human dilemma that often goes unnoticed. Brooks, the prison librarian, served over 50 years. His daily routine was simple, pushing a book cart around and logging who borrowed what. The work was light, stable, and gave him a sense of fulfillment, as if he had found meaning and value in life. But this satisfaction became an invisible shackle, binding Brooks to a framework he didn't even recognize. He considered that job his lifelong career and never imagined leaving it until he was released. Outside the prison, the world had become strange and terrifying to Brooks. The traffic overwhelmed him, the skyscrapers suffocated him. The modern world had changed too quickly compared to the life he was used to behind bars. He was assigned a job at a supermarket, but things worsened. His slow movements due to old age drew constant complaints. He lived in anxiety and couldn't even sleep peacefully. Eventually, Brooks couldn't take it anymore and chose to end his life, only a year after being set free. This story vividly portrays the so-called Shawshank Trap. People who grow too accustomed to constraints and dependency often find themselves unable to adapt when finally given freedom. As the film famously puts it, at first you hate those walls, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them. That's institutionalized. This line reveals the essence of the Shawshank Trap. We often don't realize we've become stuck in our comfort zones, losing the ability to face change and challenge in the real world. These invisible prisons are everywhere. Maybe it's a stable job that kills your ambition, or a skill you've relied on so long that it numbs your sense of growth. Over time, you begin to accept it easily, even find comfort in it. But the moment a small change occurs, you'll suddenly realize how fragile you are, unable to withstand turbulence. That wall which once gave you a sense of security now becomes a cage that traps you tightly. An ancient saying goes, "Change brings adaptability. Without change, one remains mediocre. Change brings prosperity. Without change, one declines. Change means life. Stagnation means death." This highlights the critical importance of change. Only by constantly evolving can we adapt to a volatile world and face challenges with resilience. Therefore, we must always remain vigilant against the Shawshank trap. We must actively step out of our comfort zones, dare to take on new challenges, learn new skills, and expand the boundaries of our abilities. Only then can we escape the prison of comfort and keep moving forward in life. Remember, the other side of the comfort zone is the danger zone. When we rely too heavily on a pleasant lifestyle, we lose our ability to deal with change. So keep your curiosity alive, stay eager to learn, embrace the unfamiliar, and continuously push your limits. If you feel like you're trapped in a Shawshank-like cage, try stepping outside. The world out there may feel strange, even terrifying. But trust this, discomfort and fear are signs of growth. Every challenge is an opportunity to evolve. Every change can bring unexpected breakthroughs. Let's look at a study from Boston University. The university once conducted a very simple yet fascinating experiment that revealed a vital principle about behavioral change in humans. In the experiment, participants were asked to set an alarm for 6 a.m., but they were split into two groups. The first group was instructed to place the alarm clock on their desk, while the second group kept it beside their bed. This small difference led to dramatically different results. After 2 weeks, the findings were surprising. Most participants in the first group developed the habit of waking up early, while the second group showed almost no change in their average wake-up time. This outcome revealed a key psychological principle. When the alarm rings, people tend to reflexively turn it off and go back to sleep. But when the alarm is placed far away, they are forced to leave the warmth of their bed. This single action is enough to break inertia and help them start the day. This experiment relates to the Shawshank trap, in that both emphasize one thing: immersing ourselves in comfort leads to stagnation, not growth. If we don't leave our comfort zones, we'll forever remain stuck. Though the process of change can be uncomfortable, once we take that crucial first step, we can keep reinventing ourselves and moving toward better versions of who we are. This experiment also shows that change doesn't always require strong willpower or dramatic action. On the contrary, by cleverly setting up our environment, we can make change much easier. It's like creating a small barrier that forces us out of comfort and into challenge. However, relying solely on external environmental changes isn't enough. We also need to cultivate a positive mindset and build good habits. As Zhang Guofan once said, all ailments arise from laziness. Laziness is the greatest enemy of growth and progress. A person need not fear a lack of talent, opportunity, or support, but should fear laziness above all. Once someone becomes lazy, no one can lift them up. They lock themselves inside an even larger Shawshank, confined in their own tiny world. Zhang also said, "A ruined family clings to extravagance, a failed man clings to debt, and a hated person clings to arrogance." This profound quote reveals how laziness can ruin a person's life. Once you grow accustomed to doing nothing, or doing things half-heartedly, that habit becomes second nature. Soon, you no longer have the will to grow, and you may not even know what you're meant to do in life. The result is a life that becomes increasingly vague, marked by rising anxiety and suffering. Even when people become aware of the problem, many still can't change. Why? Because overcoming laziness, working harder, or facing unrewarding challenges often invokes fear and resistance. People fear failure, and they fear the harshness of reality. As the educator and writer Makarenko once said, laziness is the root of all evils. One moment of laziness can mean a lifetime of defeat. The lazier one is, the harder it is to grow, like a person who never receives new energy but continues to consume their own. Before long, they feel drained, discouraged, and even desperate. Getting used to laziness is like borrowing from life. The more you borrow, the more you owe, until the debt becomes unpayable. As the painter Su Beihong said, laziness is a luxurious expense. When the bill comes due, you will not be able to afford it. So, give up the habit of laziness as soon as possible to avoid a life of poverty and helplessness. Only then can we truly take control of ourselves and steer the course of our lives. In addition to overcoming laziness, we also need to elevate our thinking. A broad vision grants people a greater perspective and stature. Such individuals are willing to support others and sacrifice for the greater good. Ultimately, they gain not only respect but also triumph over their own lives. On the other hand, those who can't stand seeing others succeed are simply resisting their own growth. They waste their energy and spirit in vain. These people have narrow views, shallow thinking, and a childish mindset. Not only do they avoid improving themselves, they actively drag others down, stir up trouble, and play dirty games. Only when someone breaks free from low-level thinking, avoiding shallow behaviors and short-sighted actions, can they begin to tap into their true potential and focus on self-cultivation. This is a long and difficult process, requiring continuous effort and perseverance, like sculpting a fine work of art. We must carefully refine every facet of ourselves, accumulate knowledge, enhance skills, cultivate wisdom, and develop character. Only with full-hearted self-improvement can we witness true growth and transformation. In time, we'll find our vision expanding. Opportunities and possibilities once invisible now become clear. Our understanding of the world deepens, and our attitude toward life becomes more generous. This transformation not only helps us see success, but also reminds us never to forget our original purpose and how to help others. Truly great individuals always see further, think deeper, and act more meaningfully. They are not swayed by fleeting gains or losses, nor are they easily shaken by others. Instead, they maintain a higher and more holistic perspective. Their farsightedness helps them make wiser decisions and win hearts more easily. They are not discouraged by momentary failure, nor are they blinded by short-term success. They stay calm and rational, always evaluating from a higher ground. As someone once said, "When your vision widens, worries shrink. When your heart expands, your path opens. When your stature grows, problems disappear. When our hearts are vast, we are no longer disturbed by petty troubles." As our inner capacity grows, problems that once seemed insurmountable appear small. This shift in mindset not only helps us rise above limiting thoughts and habits, but also makes life richer. We move farther, climb higher, and live more powerfully. We are no longer confined by narrow views, but can express our talents in a much larger world. Most importantly, poverty is not a predestined fate, it is a mindset, a result of how we think. No one is born to live in poverty, unless they choose it for themselves. When we actively escape the poverty trap, breaking free from thought patterns and habits that hinder our development, we open the path to prosperity and freedom. This process may not be easy. Like the first group in the Boston experiment, we may need to exert extra effort and endure discomfort. But it's these small, consistent changes that ultimately lead to major transformation. Every morning we conquer laziness. Every evening we persist in learning. Every challenge we overcome is an investment in our future. Remember, change begins with mindset, and success comes from action. The moment we shift our thinking, broaden our horizons, and take deliberate steps, we've already begun our journey toward success and abundance. This path may be full of trials, but it's also filled with opportunity and potential. Every step forward is the best investment you can make in yourself. May you and I both rise above low-level thinking and embrace a broader vision on this journey of life. Let's go further, shine brighter, and ultimately realize our ideals and aspirations.